If you listen to politicians talk, you'll often hear a politician feign that they are being truthful by saying something like, well, listen, both sides are corrupt on some level. It's just our side is trying to do the right thing more than the other side is trying to do the right thing. This is known as the moral mirage. When someone tries to use morality as a way of fooling you with some verbal shenanigans instead of actually looking into the complexity and the nuance of the situation. So the example is, again, politicians can say, well, listen, both the Democrats and the Republicans are corrupt on some level, but at least us, the Democrats, or us, the Republicans, are trying to do something that actually helps people as opposed to our opponents who are only trying to help themselves. Have you ever heard something like that before? Of course you have. So this is a combination of the false equivalence and the appeal to virtue. So the false equivalence is when people try to ignore the levels of wrongdoing. So it's like if I go to jail because I stole a candy bar from the corner store and you're in jail because you embezzled $1 million from your company, well, we're both thieves. That's a false equivalence. Yes, we both stole something, but what I stole is a small thing that costs $3. What you stole is $1 million. You're probably going to get a much harsher, you got a much bigger case on your hands than what I have on my hands. So the false equivalence is saying, well, we both stole something, so what's the difference? Well, there's a huge difference because there's levels to this shit, as all of you have heard before. So just because both people have done wrong does not mean that they've done the same amount of wrong. And nuance is what people try to strip away, and they try to turn it into symmetry. That is the false equivalence. Be very careful because, again, people will use this logical trap against you all the time. Then the appeal to virtue is when people try to use moral purity and they try to claim that their intention matters more than their outcomes. If you know anything about my work, you know I always talk about that this is a results and an outcome-based business. It's not about your intentions. Positive intentions are good, but you are judged ultimately by the results of your intentions, not the direction of your intentions. So this is the combination of these two. So ultimately what the moral mirage does is it allows you to dodge accountability, or you're trying to dodge accountability by removing the complexity of the situation, and then you shield yourself with virtue. Hey, I'm trying to do the right thing, so even though the right thing didn't happen, you got to judge me on what I was trying to do. This is nonsense. Life is a results-based business, not an intention-based business. Overall, this is a moral shortcut. And again, you'll see people who are supposed to be in positions of doing the right thing under all circumstances, such as politicians are a good example. CEOs of big companies are another good example. These people try to use moral shortcuts to undermine any arguments against them by saying, I'm trying to do the right thing, but this thing is getting in my way, or these people are trying to stop me, or look at my intentions rather than looking at my outcomes, and they try to distract you with this. And if anybody's good with words, they're very good and very skilled at fooling people with this. Many of you have been fooled in your lifetime by politicians who do exactly this all the time. They do this for a living. If you want to be a full-time politician, you better get good at it. And if you want to catch politicians in the act, you better get good at catching this. Text the word power to the number in my bio. You want to learn more about how to do this. Work on your game.